Hello students, uh, we are today we will start a new chapter, that is the use of free energy in chemical equilibria. Okay, so our in this chapter our first topic will be the thermodynamics. Thermodynamics, I think you have heard this word in your 12th standard. Okay, to some extent you have the thermodynamics in your 12th standard. Okay, the today's lecture is number 9 and the module is 2. So this is the subject name, that is chemistry, and the subject code is CH101 or CH201. The credit point is 3 and the contact hour is 35. So these are the some of the course objective that we have. The concept developed in this course will aid in quantification of several concepts in chemistry that have been introduced at the 10 plus 2 levels in school. Technology is being increasingly based on the electronic, atomic and molecular level modification. So this is the course objective, and these are the some of the course outcomes that we have. After finishing this course, the student can able to describe the fundamental properties of atoms, molecules, and also they know the periodicity of the elements in the periodic table. They can apply the fundamental concepts of thermodynamics in different engineering applications. Also they can apply the knowledge of water quality parameter, okay, and corrosion control polymers to different industries. They can determine the structure of organic molecules using different spectroscopic techniques, and finally they can also evaluate and they can also synthesize some of the products, some of the drug molecules in the lab to the industrial scale. So these are the some of the course outcome that we have for our course. Okay, so this is the lecture plan for the for our course. Sorry, this should be the lecture number 9, 10 and 11. Yeah, so the lecture, these are the three, in this three lecture we will discuss the thermodynamics. Okay, now what do you mean by the thermodynamics? Okay, this is very important concept, right? So thermodynamics is a, yeah, so thermodynamics is defined as the branch of science that deals with the relationship between the heat and the forms of energy. Actually, in thermodynamics, we can know from where to where the heat will be conducted, the heat will be transformed, okay, and what will be the efficiency of the engine. So all these things, all these concepts we can get from the thermodynamics. Thermo means the heat and dynamics means the movement. So how what will be the movement of the heat, that we can know by this thermodynamics, by this chapter. Okay, other forms of energy such as work, it is frequently summarized as the three laws thermodynamics, and how different form of energy can be interconverted. Okay, now chemical thermodynamics is the portion of thermodynamics that pertains to chemical reaction, only of the basic assumptions that we have made, that thermodynamics is the idea that we can, yeah, so thermodynamics is the idea that we can pertain, sorry, yeah, we can attributely the divide the universe into a system and its surroundings, right? Okay, a thermodynamic system is defined as the quantity of matter or a region in space over which the study of thermodynamics is done. So here is there are first of all there are three types of system in our environment we have. One is the open system, one is closed system, and one is isolated system. Okay, so open system means the walls of an open system allow the transfer of both mass and the heat, mass and the energy. So this is called the open system. Okay, this is open system. If we are boiling the water in a open beaker, so this is the open system. Now if the walls of the closed system, that means it cannot system allow transfer of energy as heat and as work, but not a matter between its and its surroundings. So closed system, for the closed system what will happen, the masses are not transferring, only the heat as a form of work it can transfer. Okay, and for the isolated system what will happen, the walls and that prevents all transfers, the mass as well as the heat or energy cannot be transformed. This is called the isolated system. Okay, this is one type of isolated system. While the beaker open while the closed, in a closed beaker the water is boiling, and this is the insulator in a insulated jar. So this is all the isolated system, and the mass as well as energy will not be transported to the environment or to the surroundings. Okay, now what do you mean by surroundings? I am again repeating that surroundings, to the surroundings, to the environment, everything external, yeah, everything external to the system, excluding the system, whatever surroundings, whatever we have we have that is called by the surroundings or environment. The system is separated from the surroundings by the system boundary or wall, by the wall or boundary. The system and surroundings will be separated. Okay, the boundary between the system and the surroundings can be real, a wall may be fixed. Okay, and now adiabatic wall. What is adiabatic wall? What is diathermal wall? Okay, adiabatic wall means the thermodynamic wall that permits the flow of heat or in the form of the from the system, flow of heat to the system or from the system. Okay, that is called the adiabatic wall. Diathermal wall, that means thermodynamic wall that does permit the flow of heat from the system to the surroundings and vice versa, like copper wall. Okay. And the intensive and the, yes, so these are the two types of boundaries that we have. Next we the next concept is, before going for the main portion, first of all some of the concept you should be clear. So these are the some of the concept of the thermodynamics that you should have before going to the main topics. Okay, so intensive property, we have two types of property, that is intensive property. One is intensive property and one is extensive property. Okay, intensive property means is a physical property of a system that does not depend on the system size or amount of material that is present in the system. That is called the intensive property. And extensive property, like intensive property like density, pressure, temperature, these are all intensive property. And extensive property is, extensive property of a system depend on the system size, depend on the amount of material present in the system, like volume, internal energy. Okay, don't worry, I will discuss in detail what is internal energy. Okay, so these are the some of the extensive properties that we have. Okay, so the now what do you mean by first law of thermodynamics? So what is the statement of the thermodynamics, first law of thermodynamics? So according to the first law of thermodynamics, it states that energy can be converted from one form to another with the interaction of heat, work, and internal energy, but it cannot be created or destroyed under any circumstances. Okay, so energy is converted according to this law. What will happen? Energy can be converted into some other form, but the energy cannot be created or cannot be destroyed under any circumstances. So this is called by the, this is the statement of first law. Okay, so there are according to the Helmholtz, there different forms of energy are interchangeable, but when a quantity of one form of energy disappear, an equivalent amount of other form of energy appears. Okay, so energy will be converted, transformed into another energy, but it cannot be created or cannot be destroyed. Okay, so now we will discuss about the internal energy, very important concept. Okay, internal energy. Now what will happen? Yes, in thermodynamics, the internal energy or intrinsic energy, that means whatever energy we have for any substance, for that substance, whatever energy internally it will have, that is called the internal energy or intrinsic energy. Okay, like liquid freezes into the solid, yielding heat energy, right? Coal burns to produce the energy. The above examples show us the existence of internal energy. Okay, so whatever energy it will have, that is called by the internal energy, and energy can be converted or transformed into some other form, but cannot be created or cannot be destroyed. Okay, uh, when a system changes from the thermodynamic state A to thermodynamic state B, the internal energy will also change. Obviously, for a reaction, if we are having the reactant A and it is forming, after the reaction it is forming product B, so what will happen? The internal energy obviously will change. For the A, it will be different for the A and it will be different for the B. If UA, that is the indication of the internal energy of the A molecule, represents the internal energy of the state A, and UB is the internal energy of the B, then UB minus UA, that is the change of energy, that is equals to delta E. Delta signifies very small change. Okay, so that's why we have written here as delta. This small change we have written as a delta, very small change occurring during the reaction. Okay, so what will happen in a system of constant composition? The magnitude of internal energy depends upon the thermodynamic variables, that is pressure, volume, temperature. Okay, so internal energy is an extensive property. Mind it, extensive property. It will depend on the size on the size of the size, and also it will depend on this type of property. Okay, so what will happen, since these three thermodynamic variables are always interrelated by some equation of the state, thus we can write down what, that E equals to function of pressure temperature, or function of volume temperature, or function of the temperature and volume. So internal energy can be written like this way. Okay. Now we will discuss about the enthalpy. Another important concept is enthalpy. Enthalpy, what is the enthalpy? That is the sum of the internal energy of a system plus the product of the pressure of the gas in the system and its volume. That is H equals to enthalpy is generally what will happen, what is that, that is indicated by the H. Okay, so H equals to E plus that is internal energy U plus P into V. Okay, pressure into volume. So what will happen, the enthalpy is the summation of the internal energy and the multiplication of the pressure and volume. Now enthalpy of the reaction, what will happen after the reaction, whatever enthalpy we have after the reaction, it will change. So that is called by heat of enthalpy, heat of reaction. Okay, so delta H equals to, that is the difference between the sum of the enthalpies of the products and the sum of the enthalpies of the reactants. Okay, so this is a summation of the enthalpy of the products and summation of the enthalpy of reactant. If we do the minus, then we can know what is the change of heat or change of enthalpy during the reaction. Okay, now another important concept is heat capacity. Okay, also I have discussed while I have discussed this while I have the chapter, yes, real gas, right. While we are discussing about the real gas, that time we have discussed about the heat capacity, right. So heat capacity, generally what will happen, specific heat capacity, that means if we have a substance and we want to increase the 1 degree centigrade temperature of that substance, so the amount of required heat for the 1 gram of that substance, that is called by the specific heat. Okay, specific heat also called by the also it can be molar heat capacity. Okay, molar heat capacity, that means what, the required amount of the heat required for 1 mole of the substance to increase the temperature by 1 degree centigrade. Okay, 1 degree centigrade. So this is the molar heat capacity. Now here it is denoted, heat capacity is denoted by the C, and thus C equals to dq by dt. But dq is the path function and its value depends on the actual process followed. So at constant pressure and constant volume, Cv is always what, dqv at constant volume, right. Heat capacity at constant volume. So specific heat capacity at a constant volume, that is dqv by dt, and Cp the constant pressure while we are measuring the heat capacity with respect to the in constant pressure, that is called by Cp. Okay, so but we know that dE, that is equals to dqv. Okay, and Cv equals to dE by dt at constant volume. So Cp equals to also what will happen, dE by dt at constant pressure. So at constant volume, what will be the value of the delta E, that is the internal energy, that is equals to Cv delta T and delta H, and at constant pressure, that is delta H. Delta H, what is the delta H? That is the delta H equals to Cp del T. Okay, so this is all about the enthalpy. Now all of you know that Cp is greater than Cv. Why? And how much is this, the value is greater? So for this we have some derivation, that is the heat capacity at constant pressure Cp is greater than the Cv, because when heat is added at constant pressure the substance expand, okay, and works. When heat is added to a gas at constant volume, we have what, we have the qv, that is equals to cv del t, that is equals to delta E plus W. W is the work, and that is equals to delta E. When heat is added at constant pressure, we have Qp, that is equals to Cp del T, that is equals to del E plus W, that is equals to delta E plus P del V. Okay, now if we derive, if we want to derive the relation between Cp and Cv, we have to follow this pathway. So we know all internal energy is a function of V and T. So if we consider del E, that is equals to delta del U by del T at constant volume, delta T, plus del E by del V, del U by del V at constant temperature, delta V. Okay, now del U by delta T at P, that is equals to what will be it, that is equals to del U by del T at constant volume, del U by del V at constant temperature into del V by del T at constant pressure. So Cp minus Cv, Cp minus Cv, that is del E by del T at constant pressure, this is Cp, and Cv, that means del E by del T at constant volume. So Cp minus Cv equals to what, del E by del T at constant pressure minus the Cp, this is the value of the Cp and this is the value of the Cv, right? So del E by del T P, so Cp minus Cv equals to del E by del T P plus P into del V by del T at constant pressure minus del E by del T at constant volume. So del E by del T at constant volume plus del E by del V at constant temperature, del V by del T at constant pressure, plus P equals to P into del V by del T at constant pressure minus del E by del T at constant volume. So thus we can get the Cp minus Cv actually, that is equals to R. So by this we can derive the relation between Cp and Cv. Always remember Cp minus Cv equals to R, and you can have also this derivation also in your can come in your exam also, that is prove that Cp minus Cv equals to R. Okay, now we have actually there are two types of process we have. One is reversible process and one is irreversible process. Okay, so how we can define this reversible process? A reversible process is a process whose direction can be reversed, okay, and by introducing infinitesimal changes to some property of the system via its surroundings while not increasing the entropy. Okay, throughout the entire reversible process the system is in thermodynamic equilibrium with its surroundings. Okay, now since it would take an infinite amount of time for the reversible process to finish perfectly, reversible process are impossible. Okay, so it is a reversible cycle, the system and its surroundings will be returned to their original state if the forward cycle is followed by the reverse cycle. Okay, irreversible process, how we can define irreversible process, like on the other hand, can be described as the process where finite change are made and therefore the system is not at all in the equilibrium throughout the process. At the same point in an irreversible cycle, the system will be in the same state but the surroundings are permanently changed after each cycle. So this is the definition of the irreversible process. Okay, now again we can have this type of question ki, what is the work done in an isothermal irreversible process for the expansion of the gas. So for this case also, this is very easy derivation that you have, that is, in an isothermal process the temperature remains isothermal, right? So temperature remain constant. Consider pressure and volume of n mole of the ideal gas, that is P1 V1 and P2 V2. Now W work done, that is equals to P into V, right? Since reversible process takes place in infinitesimal amount, so W is integration, so while limits of the integration process is from V1 to V2, and thus W on integrating this thing, we can know that W equals to nRT ln V2 by V1, right? So this is the work done, this is the expression of the work done for the isothermal reversible process. Okay, so from this equation you have to memorize, because from this equation you can you have to you maybe solve some of the problems which will be based on these equations. Okay, now adiabatic process or reversible process. An adiabatic change is one which does not allow the transfer of heat, that means dq equals to 0, the heat transfer will be 0. The first law of thermodynamics, and by the definition in an adiabatic process we get that 0 equals to, that means 0 equals to dE, that is equals to dE plus dW, and so dE here, that is equals to minus P dV. Okay, so dE, that is CV dt, we can write down CV dt equals to minus P dV. Okay, let 1 mole of an ideal gas expanding adiabatically and reversibly from temperature T1 to T2 and volume is V1 to V2. So that time what will happen, CV dt, that is equals to minus RT by V dV. Okay, so again if we do the integrations, so we will get the what, ln T2 by T1, that is equals to ln V1 by V2 to the power minus R by CV. So after that we will get the TV to the power gamma minus 1, that should be the constant. Similarly we can also derive PV to the power gamma is the constant, and T gamma P to the power 1 minus gamma is the constant. So also from this portion you can prove, you may prove that PV to the power gamma is constant, prove that PV to the power gamma is constant, prove that T into V gamma minus 1 is constant. So these are the some of the questions that from this portion you can have. Okay, so for adiabatic process the ideal gas equation will be PV gamma equals to K constant, where gamma equals to Cp by Cv. Okay, so this will be the adiabatic work done for the adiabatic gas process, that is W adiabatic, that is equals to P1 V1 minus P2 V2 divided by gamma minus 1. So these are the some of the derivation that you have to do, you have to practice well. Okay, this is the graph that we have, adiabatic versus isothermal PV graph. Okay, and you can see for the adiabatic graph, this is the slope like structure we have, and for isothermal we have this type of blue graph. The blue graph is indicating by the isothermal graph, and the red graph is the adiabatic graph. Here the x-axis, along the x-axis we have the volume, and along y-axis we have the pressure. Okay, so what is the application of first law of thermodynamics? The application of first law of thermodynamics to the chemical process. So this topic, the application portion, that we will discuss in our next class. Okay, so today what we have discussed, we have discussed the definition of thermodynamics, the types of system that we have: open, closed and isolated system, the Cp minus Cv equals to R, that we have proved, the internal energy and enthalpy, what is the significance of internal energy, what is the significance of enthalpy, all this we have seen. Okay, and also for the work done for adiabatic process, work done for the isothermal process, so all this we have seen, that what will be the work done. So next day we will discuss the application of the first law of thermodynamics, and also we will discuss about the second law of thermodynamics. So please student, go through the study material and follow the class. Thermodynamics is very important. From this portion you can have, you may have the derivations. Okay, so just follow the classes regularly, that time you can understand all the things. If you still have the doubt, then next day we will discuss, okay, in our class. So thank you students, and see you in the next class.